Perbadanan Insurance Deposit Malaysia, better known as PIDM, is the government agency tasked with protecting our deposits in the worst-case scenario. With current issues in the global banking system sparking fears of contagion, how do agencies like PIDM prepare in case everything goes south? This is the question we asked PIDM CEO Rafiz Azuan Abdullah. I think right now, especially for a lot of people, banks and the security of banks is front of mind, mostly because of the failures of the banks that you saw both in the US and in Europe.
Yes.
In the US, it's newer, but in Europe, it was an old institution that people always thought of as solid. When PIDM sees instances like this, does it make you worried? Because for me, when I look at it, it wasn't just that it happened because banks have failed before. It was the speed at which it happened.
Correct.
It seemed to literally have happened over a weekend. You know, so when PIDM sees instances like this, I mean, what's your first reaction?
The collapse of Silicon Valley Bank, SVB, or Credit Suisse has rattled the financial market worldwide, actually. A few lessons that we see from this. First is that, hey, failure can happen at any time.
Correct.
Out of the blue.
Yes, exactly.
And most of the time at incredible speed. Sparking confidence crisis, more banks will fail. This is vicious cycle. So trust is very, very important for financial stability. Once lost, intervention of the authorities, we have seen in the US, will have to be significantly much more and most likely to be costly.
Yes.
So relating it back to PIDM, recognizing the importance of acting swiftly and effectively to maintain public confidence at a time of failure of crisis. That's why we have been operating with just-in-case kind of approach. Just in case something happens, we know what to do. I would like to stress that deposit protection itself may not be sufficient.
Right.
It has to be supplemented in tandem with an effective resolution framework. That's so that the authorities can make swift and decisive actions during the crisis.
So let's talk about it now because I think, like you said, people really knew the other role, but this resolution planning, can you break it down for people who basically either don't want to know or they're not sure about what it is? You were talking about just-in-case planning.
Yes.
So resolution planning, is that part of it?
So what is resolution planning? Resolution planning essentially is pre-planning for failure during good time. It's like writing a will. What we will do now, working with member banks, hey, let's come up with a plan. If something happened to you, what is the action that we're going to take? What are the plans that are there? So that we can quickly react, whether we want to wind it down, we want to continue operations, or even transfer it to a buyer or a bridge institution. So the key is to get the members to the state of transfer ready at all times. So when something happens, that we can do something about it. As well as identifying the impediment to resolution now, during good time. So when something happens, first, we know what to do, and secondly, we can act as swiftly as possible.
What's the challenges with implementing something like this? Because, you know, what is this sort of like simulation or contingency plan that you have done? Could you give a bit more details? Because let's say things go south. We don't want it to, but let's say things go south. What kicks in?
The challenge is to get really people to think about this. I think that's what is our plan for now, is to really create the narrative of resolution. Resolution maybe is a taboo topic, but what happened across the pond in the Europe as the US really bring home, hey, this one may happen or can happen in our institution. We can be strong, but like I said at the beginning, trust is important. Once the trust is lost, however strong you are, we may have a trouble. So we need to start have the narrative and thinking about it. So that's the first challenge for us to get it done, because it's not easy, because it's technical in nature, it's operational. We may have to do some changes here in terms of the structure as well as the systems that they have. But surely we will work together with them, and hopefully we can be more prepared as a whole.
I think a lot of people will argue, or in fact Bank Negara themselves have actually said that so far our buffers are okay, our financial is stable. So a lot of people will ask, is this overkill? Do you think it's overkill?
The ripple effect, the confidence crisis for banking is something that we have to really bear in mind. Okay, don't take things for granted. Actually, the resolution planning, recovery and resolution planning is not new. It was muted in 2011 after 2008 financial crisis. It took, 10, 12 years from then, okay? And it's still work in progress. So FSB, Financial Stability Board, asked all the DC in the world to have this resolution planning. So at the very least, when something happens, we are not caught off guard. I think that's the key. We may feel that it's really far away from us. We are good, we are strong.
That's a Western problem.
Yes.
That's what people are saying.
Yes, yeah. Yes. But this happened in advanced economies, and they're supposed to be the leaders and what. But it still happened. I think resolution planning, people might think it is just for the doomsday. Actually, if you do it correctly, it is actually for the business growth, because you know your business in and out. You know exactly, if something happened to this, what to do, even during the good time. Because resolution planning is the tail end already. When there's nobody, it cannot be safe already, it's non-viable, then we come in. At that time, somebody need to pay. Our role is that, hey, let's have the lesser costs as far as possible. That's our mandate. And we don't want taxpayer money to be used as far as possible, because our role is to give options. If we can intervene early, perhaps the cost can be lesser.
Trust is so important.
Correct.
Trust is very important when it comes especially to people's money, and people are already jittery about their money. So in cases like making sure that people are still trusting the financial system, trusting the banks, where does PIDM, the Bank Negara framework come into mind, helping build this trust?
The mere existence itself is key, and how we work together, how we be seen to the public. Bank Negara is doing a primary supervisory role. They are supervising the industry as a whole, preemptive measures to prevent something from happening and get the industry to a certain level. PIDM, on the other hand, if something happens, we will be there as the backstop, if something, for the resolution, as well as the key component of deposit protection. That's very, very important. The decal in front of the bank is very, very valuable. So I always tell my team, our value is at the decal. If we take out the decal, there will be some issues perhaps on that, because people question it, and that's very, very important. I think our role is always to be ready at the back, and if something happens, monitor, do simulation, training, get the resolution planning in order, work with the banks. If something happens, we are ready. And we will collaborate very closely with Bank Negara and other financial safety net players on this.